Hi, welcome back to THC 101. I'm Joe Audette, and today I'm joined by Jude from the Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild. Jude, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today, Joe. As Joe said, I'm Jude Croyle. I am a founding member of the Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild. I am also a Level 2 certified ganjier. What is a ganjier, you might ask? It is a cannabis sommelier who is trained in the art, science, history, and appreciation of cannabis.
Why don't you give us a brief history on the last 20 million years of THC?
Sounds good, Joe. So, as you've alluded to, we are emerging from about 90 years or so of prohibition of cannabis in the United States. However, we've had thousands of years of traditions involving cannabis from all over the globe. About 20 million years ago, near Lake Qinghai, China, hops and cannabis separated from the same parental plant and went their separate ways. Humans have used cannabis as a source of food, fuel, medicine, fiber, and spiritual practice for tens of thousands of years since then. The oldest known written record of cannabis comes from the father of Chinese medicine, Emperor Shen Nung. It was listed in the Chinese Pharmacopoeia in 2727 BCE. Outside of that, in the Eurasian steppes, the Scythians, in the 900 to 200 BCE era, were warriors that fought, that ruled over those Eurasian steppes, and they would prepare for battle by hotboxing cannabis in a small tent that they would put their heads into, essentially, hotboxing their own heads before they went into battle. Outside of that, let's fast forward back to the 19th and 20th centuries in the United States. Sort of a concatenated approach here, but in the U.S., cannabis was widely used as medicine during the 19th and early 20th centuries, first appearing in the United States Pharmacopoeia in about 1850. At that time, nearly 50% of patented medicines listed in the U.S. Patent Office contained cannabis and were often up to 50% of the active ingredients found in those substances. So, prohibition began in the United States at a state level in 1911. And then,
how does prohibition for marijuana tie into prohibition for liquor? Is there any sort of
the prohibition of cannabis started at a state level, and it was down in the southwest portion of the United States where a particular United States representative or senator at the time had coined the term marijuana to use in the place of the word cannabis. And so the AMA at that time stood behind these prohibitive laws that were going in place because they didn't understand, because they didn't know what marijuana was. And they knew what cannabis was. And then by the time they figured out what was being discussed, it was too late. The ball had already rolled too far, and prohibition became a thing in 1937. So it started in 1911, fully prohibited by 1937, then fully galvanized in 1970 when Nixon actually added cannabis to Schedule I, which we found out very recently that he was hesitant to even do. He actually is caught on tape in Watergate, actually, in the Watergate tapes, saying, why is cannabis on here? That's not even a threat. Why are we doing this? So, crawling out of that prohibition era, California was the first state in the Union to end cannabis prohibition with the enactment of Proposition 215 for medical use in 1996. Then, Proposition 64 was enacted in 2016 for recreational use. And as of November 2023, there are many states that have enacted recreational use, Minnesota being one of those states. Actually 24 in total, I believe, is what the total is right now. Fun stuff.
That's a lot. That's a real quick history on the last 22 million years.
Yeah.